Hello everyone and welcome back to Secrets Behind the Stars. If you love staying on top of the most intriguing moments in celebrity life, make sure you're tuned in, because tonight's story has set the internet buzzing. The latest whispers in the industry say that Yağmur turned down a major TV series, and the reason people are talking is not just the size of the offer, but who else was involved. According to insiders, she was the first name on the list for the female lead. But when word reached her that the production was also considering Barış for the male lead, everything changed behind the scenes. That's when she allegedly made a private but decisive call: "I'm sorry, but I can't take this. I don't want to work with him." And just like that, months of planning and a dream pairing that fans had been quietly manifesting evaporated. Once that rumor reached the public, the debate exploded across social media. Fans remembered the way Barış and Yağmur could light up a scene with a glance and turn silence into electricity. Their on-screen rhythm had once been the sort you could feel without sound, the kind that makes directors hold a beat longer because the camera refuses to look away. That's why the Refusal hit with a jolt. Why walk away from a guaranteed hit when the entire formula seemed right there? Some supporters insisted there had to be personal reasons that a script can't fix. Others were convinced it was a brave act of drawing a boundary that many people never dare to draw. Those who have moved around both actors for years quietly suggested the chemistry fans loved came with a cost. A source close to both of them described filming days that veered between playful and brittle, with tension that could show up in small pockets, disagreements that lingered, conversations cut short, even quiet stretches where everyone pretended not to notice the air getting thin. It wasn't unheard of, the source said, for them to wrap a long day and leave without a goodbye, slipping out of set like strangers who used to know each other. None of that ruins a performance. But it can wear down the people giving it. Barış didn't issue a formal statement as the conversations grew louder. Still, his social media did what it always does when words are too heavy: it hinted. He shared a photo of himself standing with his back to the camera, looking toward a pale horizon just before sunrise, the kind of picture that invites people to fill it with their own feelings. The caption was a line that felt like a hand closing a door softly: "Some doors shut on their own, others you close yourself so you don't repeat the same mistake twice." He didn't clarify who the line was for, or whether it had anything to do with the offer. But in a week that had everyone connecting dots, the timing was enough to spark thousands of interpretations. Then came an appearance that everyone was waiting for. At a fashion event where flashes met fabrics and everything shimmered, Yağmur took a moment on the carpet to offer a few simple words. Yes, she said, a very large project had indeed been offered. And yes, she declined. Her reason sounded calm and final: she would not force a chemistry that didn't feel true. She was grateful for the opportunity, but she gets to choose what she wants to carry, and this, she felt, wasn't hers. She emphasized it wasn't about a script conflict or scheduling chaos. It was an emotional decision, and she was choosing peace over potential. In a world where everyone is asked to hustle, it was a statement that felt like a pause button. Her stance split the audience in two. Half of the fandom praised her for setting a boundary before the cameras rolled, for recognizing when a feeling cannot be conjured by good writing or perfect lighting. They said it took strength to step away from a sure thing when your heart says no. The other half, aching with memories of that beloved on-screen pairing, groaned at the idea of losing a reunion they had already built in their minds. How many times do stars align? How many times do you get lightning in a bottle? Losing it on purpose felt, to them, like turning off a song before the chorus arrives. Critics weighed in with a different angle, calling the decision a mark of self-respect and a kind of maturity that is rare under spotlights. One commentator wrote that not everyone has the nerve to choose no in order to protect their own center. Saying no is quiet, they argued, but it can be the loudest act. Others, of course, read the moment through an entirely different lens. They were sure this was less about chemistry and more about distance. To them, the refusal looked like a way to keep space between two people who might still have unfinished feelings, the kind that can pulse under a smile and complicate even the easiest dialogue. As the think pieces multiplied, fans turned into detectives, resurfacing old behind-the-scenes clips that suddenly carried new weight. One video made the rounds again. Barış cracking a light joke while everyone rested between takes, and Yağmur turning away at the last second, avoiding his gaze as if she had too many thoughts to risk letting one slip out. At the time it seemed like nothing at all, two tired actors saving their energy. Now, with new context, it fed theories that what looked effortless on screen could feel fragile when the cameras stopped. Here's the part that makes everything feel even more symbolic. The production team behind the new series wasn't just chasing any duo. Sources say they were hoping to bottle nostalgia by designing a reunion project that would echo their past magic but with a new twist. They even had a working title swirling inside private meetings, Sansız Askin Yeniden Dögüsü. The plan was to reawaken an old fever and set it against fresh stakes, giving the audience exactly what they had been craving without copying what came before. That's why the refusal stung production so sharply. It wasn't only a no to a role, it was a no to a shared myth. Not long after, an ex-writer who had once worked on a previous set with both actors gave a coy interview, and if you listened closely, you could hear something beneath the politeness. The friction back then, they hinted, never lived solely in the script. There was a tender line that got crossed by feelings, and when those feelings didn't meet in the middle, everything else got complicated. Understanding was tried, patience was stretched, and in the end, professionalism saved the scenes, but couldn't save off-camera ease. It sounded gentle, not bitter. But it added a layer to the way people were reading the present. Fans continued arguing in comment threads long past midnight about who created the distance first. Some insisted that it was Barış who took a step back, retreating into his quiet place when he sensed he was standing too close to something he couldn't give. Others claimed it was Yağmur who closed the chapter, choosing to end a private bond that had too many variables and too little time. Whatever the origin, both sides agreed on one thing: you can't act your way around a heartbeat forever. Then, another post from Barış made the rounds. It was short, almost austere, but it rang like a bell for those listening. Some answers, he wrote, do not deserve applause. They deserve silence. No names. No explanations. Just a sentence that felt like a curtain lower. If the first caption opened a conversation, this one folded it, leaving everyone to sit with their own questions. Meanwhile, the machine of television kept moving, because it must. With Yağmur stepping away, the producers turned their attention to finding a new female lead who could hold a story of this scale and still make the audience believe every flicker of emotion. Names floated through the industry air in whispers and speculative articles: Demet Özdemir, Tuba by Austin. Each possibility came bundled with its own brand, its own gravitational pull, the promise of a new equation. And while meetings were being scheduled and scripts were being adjusted, Yağmur walked forward with a steadiness that suggested the decision had already given her the clarity she wanted. At a charity gala a few nights later, she arrived in a look that glowed without trying, and the cameras did their usual swarm. Questions came at her about Barış, about the rejected project, about whether some door might swing back open if the circumstances changed. She didn't pause long. "My energy," she said, "is not here to feed dramas that don't belong to me." It wasn't sharp, but it was firm, like a boundary drawn with kindness. The room understood the message: she's not here to keep the fire burning for a story she has let go. Fans praised her poise, and many said they admired a woman who would not let her peace be traded for a headline. But then there were those who stared at the space between her words, wondering if a story as intense as theirs can ever really be over. Just because a door is closed doesn't mean the room is empty. And so the public split into two familiar camps. On one side, the romantics who still hope for a reunion, on screen and maybe beyond it, certain that some pairings are too rare to be left behind. On the other side, the realists who believe that growth sometimes means moving in opposite directions and letting the past stay beautiful from a distance. And that's the question circling now. Is this the final chapter of one of the most memorable pairings in recent Turkish television, or simply an intermission before a return that will arrive when nobody expects it? Did Yağmur make the right call by turning down a project that might have thrilled viewers but troubled her heart? Or did the industry just lose a chance to make lightning strike twice? Only time can answer with more than speculation. What we know is this: The choices they have made in the last few days look like the kind that come after long thinking and quiet nights. The posts hint at lessons learned, boundaries drawn, and a desire to avoid repeating patterns that hurt, even if those patterns also produced extraordinary art. The statements at events suggest that both are trying to speak without wounding, to let the work and the silence carry meaning where explanations would only inflame. Perhaps that is the real maturity in the moment. Recognizing that talent can build worlds, but peace builds lives. As producers adjust their plans and new names circle the orbit of a project that was almost theirs, the myth of Barış and Yağmur keeps doing what myths do. It grows each time someone tells it. Every clip from the past becomes a clue. Every caption becomes a confession. Every sidelong glance from interviews filmed years ago is seen as a map nobody knew how to read. And maybe that's why this story won't settle. Because some narratives belong to the audience as much as they belong to the stars who lived them, and the audience is not ready to let go. So we hand this to you. Was Yağmur's decision an act of courage that protected her center, or a missed miracle that fans will mourn for years? Do you believe that distance is necessary now, or do you hold on to the hope that, when the timing is kinder, the pairing everyone loved will find its way back to a shared frame? Tell us what you think below, and stay with Secrets Behind the Stars for every twist, turn, and quiet post that keeps this story alive.